Coming up.
It falls on him causing these injuries?
Yes, Your Honor. Jason put his money in and didn't get a drink. He did push the machine, and the machine proceeded to fall on top of him, and the glass was everywhere.
That was probably the scariest thing that's ever happened to me.
To shake and attack the machine, that's kind of a natural consequence to a behavior.
You are asking this court to award you $350,000.
I thought I saw my brother die.
It's your machine, your campus. These are your students. Their mom has entrusted them to you. Why wouldn't that be your
Your
fault?
Honor.
All right, well, let's get into the legal sauce. Now, an injury to a child is an injury to a family. Ms. Turner, tell me about your family.
Well, Your Honor, I was blessed with two beautiful boys, January 15th of 2002. And they were a bundle of a little over 10 pounds.
That's a big bundle.
It is. They're sweet boys. They're caring boys. They have tons of friends. They're active. And, Your Honor, my sons go to Carrington Prep because it's a good school, it has good academics, and it's supposed to be safe.
It's got a good reputation.
It does have a good reputation, and unfortunately, our public schools just don't cut it in my eyes. I want my sons to have a great future and go on to college, and I also want them to be safe.
Yes, ma'am.
And unfortunately, they were not. My son is suffering, and I don't think it's right. And you know what it's like to send your son off to school, and you know that they're going to be well cared for? That's what I thought I had in my life, and that was taken away.
Well, the biggest act of trust for any parent is to send a child to school. Now, I can't help but notice that your boys are twins. 2 of my 10 brothers and sisters are twins. My brothers, Matt and Mark. Are you guys joined at the hip the way my brothers are?
Sometimes, Your Honor.
So, Ms. Watson, tell me about Carrington Prep.
I am the headmistress of Carrington Prep School. It is a private high school. Most of the 845 students are boarding students. We do have some day students. The school has been here for over 100 years, and we have generations of families that continue.
A long, successful history.
Yes. Jason and Jackson are seniors this year at our school. They are very bright. They do well academically. They're in high academic classes. They also take part in our physical education activities. However, you know how twins are, boys are, occasionally when they get together.
I've been the victim of twins.
Right. And sometimes they become a little bit rowdy, disruptive. As a matter of fact, Jason tends to have a little bit of a reputation as a class clown. And so therefore, we have separated the boys, and they are in separate classes for most of the day.
My sons are not rowdy, and they're separated because that's the standard for twins. You always separate them. As you know, you have twins in your family.
Yes, ma'am. The world is safer when my brothers are in separate rooms.
Exactly. So they are, please do not paint them as troublemaking, disruptive children, because they're not. They're good boys,
Yes,
Your
ma'am.
Honor. They have good grades. They know how to act. Trust me, I've raised them.
You know how which one is the nice one and which one is the little bit more rowdy one? Just look at their hair. Look at their hair. One of them is nice, perfectly coiffed, and the other one has a little bit of wild hair. So, of course, the one with the wild hair is the one that got hurt. How he got hurt? I guess we'll find out.
So take me to the day. What happened?
The day of, it was around 8:15 p.m. We were just getting out of basketball practice. Went to the lounge to get some drinks, but the vending machines are, I would say, probably near the back. And Jason put his money in and didn't get a drink. When he didn't get his drink, he did push the machine. The first time, not so hard. The second time, a little bit harder. And the machine proceeded to fall on top of him after he had already fallen, and the glass was everywhere. The sound of that machine hitting him was insane.
So he doesn't get what he's paying for. He tries to push the machine, and then it falls on him, causing these injuries?
Yes, Your Honor.
Jason, tell me about that.
Honestly, Your Honor, that was probably the scariest thing that's ever happened to me. I was just, I guess after the practice, I was flustered, and I didn't really shake it that hard. There was more give in this machine than I had anticipated, and the next thing I know, I hit the floor, and I don't remember very much after that.
Now, Ms. Watson, Ms. Turner talked about school being safe. That's the expectation of every parent. This kind of thing's not supposed to happen. How does this happen? Especially at a school like Carrington Prep.
Your Honor, what we try to do is we try to teach respect and responsibility.
Yes, ma'am.
If a person doesn't get what they want out of a machine, is the solution to basically shake and attack the machine? That's kind of a natural consequence to a behavior.
I guess it depends on what you want and what kind of mood you're in, though. I've seen some people do some crazy things with vending machines.
Listen, I've seen those Snicker commercials. When someone's hungry, they get pretty angry. So that's scientifically proven that He acted perfectly normal.
And what were the consequences?
Well, I didn't see any of them get the machine on top of them and destroy their face. It's your machine, your campus. These are your students. Their mom has entrusted them to you. Why wouldn't that be your fault?
I feel like it's our fault because it was Jason's actions that caused this machine to topple over.
He didn't attack the machine.
We have a code of conduct, and he violated our code of conduct. And I have this for you if you'd like to see it. To
Sure,
read it.
Matt, will you get
And
the code of conduct?
One of the items is to behave responsibly, and another one is destruction of school property.
It reads, students must, 1, behave responsibly, demonstrate courtesy to others, be prepared for classes, cooperate with educators and school officials, respect school and others' property. Is shaking the machine respecting school property?
But, Your Honor, he didn't push the machine that hard.
Well, that hard is relative, isn't it?
Well, he was there.
Really, he wasn't using all of his might, seriously.
You actually submitted an animation to explain this. All right, will you cross over to the plasma and show me how your brother did this and how this happened?
He put the money in it. He didn't get what he paid for. He becomes flustered, starts shaking the machine. The first time, not so vigorously. The second time, he gave it a little bit more of a shake, as you can tell with this kind of motion. And then it topples on top of him. Glass everywhere, everywhere. I thought he was dead.
So that actual vending machine fell on top of your brother?
The whole thing,
And the front glass shattered and cut his face all up?
everywhere.
Now, Miss Watson, that's not supposed to happen.
Of course not. It's not ever supposed to happen, but sometimes things do happen as a consequence of a behavior. I understand that after practice, the kids are hot, they're sweaty, they're tired, they want something to drink. We have several water fountains in the Student Activity Center.
They don't
Okay.
work.
They chose not to do that.
No, they
They
don't
can bring
work.
their own drink to practice. Usually there is water provided at practice and during practice. There is a number on the machine that if the machine is not working properly, that they can have this number to call. And this was a number that if he didn't get his drink out of the machine and he needed help, to call this number before he got to that behavior.
This is the customer service number, right?
Correct. Now, I realize it was at night.
But isn't the fix just to have a machine that's not going to topple over on a kid?
It was his choice and his decision that because he didn't get his drink,
You know
that he
what?
was going to try to force it.
Could you stop calling it a violent attack on this
talk to
machine?
me,
Look
please.
at my boys. My boys are athletic, but they're not these big, muscly guys.
This machine didn't fall over because he blew on it,
No.
right?
But he pushed it.
You submitted medical bills totaling $60,000 just for the past.
Yes.
You're asking this court to award you $40,000 for future medicals. Jason, tell me what this has been like for you. We're talking around like you're not in the room. What are you going through, son?
Honestly, Your Honor, the bare pain is immeasurable. I don't look the same anymore. I'm having a hard time with school. I know I'm not going to be able to graduate this year. I can't drive. And honestly, I just don't feel like my mom and my brother look at me the same anymore. It's like I'm just not here.
Miss Watson, tell me this. What kind of safety precautions did you all put in place to make sure that these machines don't move like this?
This is a fairly new machine. It's only been there a couple of weeks. The one in the middle is the one that toppled over. The two on the sides are being replaced next week. So we were going to have them bolted all three together.
So on the day that this happened, none of these were anchored to the wall or anchored to each other?
The other two were.
Okay.
Just the brand new one had not been bolted yet.
And how life would have it, he pulls on the one that's not
Exactly
anchored.
that one. You know, Your Honor, we're not talking about children. We're talking about students that are getting ready for the real world.
Here's where I struggle with that. It always kind of makes me ticklish when someone in your shoes being sued comes in and says, well, we were responsible for their safety, but this is all their fault because they're 17 and not 5. We're not dealing with kids, but we are dealing with minors.
Exactly.
You're right, Your Honor.
And having raised 3 boys, 17-year-old boys are a little bit crazy.
The report that I saw of this incident stated that he pushed very hard on this machine for it to topple over.
He weighs like 95 pounds. How hard could he push?
That is my question, and that's why this court has consulted an engineer, Andrea Brown Milheisler, and she's going to explain how this machine can topple. Sheriff Matt, will you get Miss Milheisler?
Yes, Your Honor.
See, that's exactly what I was thinking. You know, these things are heavy. He would have to pull really hard to move
Can
it.
you explain how does a machine like this topple over?
Well, it doesn't happen spontaneously. You have a force coming across from the top of the machine. Once the center of gravity of that machine exceeds the angle of the tipping point, the machine is going to come down. So your typical machine weighs about 900 pounds. When you add in the product, that's another 225 pounds. So you're looking at a total of 1,125 pounds. Now, at that weight,
What?
if someone is rocking it, once it is rocked past a vertical angle of 34.5 degrees, the machine is going to come down.
Ma'am, how is it possible that someone of his size can topple a 900-pound full vending machine?
If you go up and start rocking it, the momentum created by the rocking of the machine would help it much more easily topple over. And once it rocked past the 34.5 degree angle, it would tip over onto someone.
Thank you, ma'am. We appreciate you. You are pleased.
Absolutely. Thank you.
So, Jason, you pulled this giant machine over on yourself. What did you think was going to happen?
Honestly, Your Honor, I don't remember being very aggressive. I don't remember much at all.
Jackson, you see this machine fall on your brother. What did you do?
Obviously I panicked because I thought I saw my brother die. So,
Miss Watson, you all actually had plans to tether this machine to the wall, but you didn't. Do you wish y'all had done it sooner?
Well, of course, Your Honor. But I still feel that that machine needed that force, that pushing and pulling, to knock it over.
That machine
And
needed
that-
to be tethered. It needed to be tethered to the wall, just like all the other machines on your property, so that this does not happen.
Folks, I think I've heard what I need to hear. I'm ready to render my decision.
So the thing is about this so far, like the decision's coming up, but the thing is, like, obviously they should have bolted it to the wall, but also it's obvious that the teen used a lot of force to push it over, so it seems a little suspect. I think he's lying, or a little bit like painting it like a little bit like disguising the truth a little bit about what he was doing. It takes a lot. It's really heavy. They said like over 1,100 pounds or something like that. It would take a lot of weight to push it over. So it seems a little crazy to me. So what do you guys think the judgment's going to be? Comment below. I'd love to know what you guys think the judgment's going to be. All right, let's find out.
Personal injury case, the plaintiff has to prove three things. The plaintiff has to prove that the defendant was wrong and that the defendant's wrong caused your harm. My analysis is whether Carrington Prep is responsible for your injuries. Here you've put up evidence that you and your brother, your sons, finished with basketball practice, going into the student lounge, gonna get a drink. The machine is not cooperating as much as you want. You start to shake it, it falls on you and injures you pretty badly. And you believe that Carrington Prep should pay for every bit of what you're asking this court to award you. Ms. Watson, you're here to represent Carrington Prep. And while your heart goes out to this young man and this family for these injuries, you believe that if he hadn't been rocking the machine, y'all would have never met me here today. And as hard as it sounds, you believe these injuries are his fault and Carrington Prep shouldn't be responsible. This is a classic premises liability case. You have a certain responsibility to care for yourself. Carrington Prep has a responsibility under law to take reasonable measures to make sure that the property is safe. Now, part of that responsibility to take reasonable measures is to anticipate likely harm or risk. Here, you all had actual notice that these machines could fall. That's why you had a plan to tether them to the wall. Under the law, you have actual notice of this potential harm. The other thing that adds to that notice is you're dealing with 17-year-old high school students. If these were fifth graders or second graders, no, they're not going to fool with the machines. 17-year-old boys do, and you all are in the business of nurturing 17-year-old boys. The law charges you with that kind of knowledge. So here, with that knowledge, you should have tethered the machine to the wall.
Right.
So I find that you have proven that Carrington Prep was wrong, and that wrong caused your injuries. So I'm going to award to you $350,000. I find in your favor
Wow.
and against Carrington Prep. That's my final verdict, and this matter is adjourned.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You know, I'm not entirely surprised by that kind of verdict because, you know, the thing is they should have tethered it. They knew that they had to. Why it was taking over a week? They said they were going to do it a week later. Why didn't they do it when they were setting up the vending machine when they first got it? That is what's crazy to me. So honestly, I totally see where this judgment came from. What do you guys think about the judgment? Do you think it was too much, too little, or just right? I would love to know your thoughts. Let me know. Love ya.